Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast. And now here's the guy who's ready to wrap it all up like Kevin before bed. I am Rob Cesternino, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday night Big Brother recap of everything going on here. Got a fun show lined up, just coming off of the old Game of Thrones earlier tonight with Stephen Fishback and ready to double back to Big Brother. Not battle back, not a double back showdown, but talking about the Sunday night episode. And of course, with me tonight, we were scheduled to have Karen Singbeil from Big Brother Canada. She had a power outage on board the Odyssey, I guess. We're going to be rescheduling with her for another night when we can get her on when she has full power, but in her place, somebody who is fully powered, especially by the fact that Big Brother Canada is going to be returning. Please welcome to the first time on a podcast with me talking Big Brother. Here is Pooya. Pooya, how are you?
I'm good, Rob. I'm good. For those of you who don't know me, I prefer victim noises to animal noises, just to clarify.
Okay, there you go. Pooya, is that a Genius t-shirt you're wearing also?
That is. Shout out to my favorite comedian, Dendala, sent this to me on my birthday.
Oh, wow. My favorite comedian as well, Dendala. And then also joining me to talk about everything going on the live feeds, the great Brent Wolgamott. Brent, how are you?
Rob, I'm doing great. You know, we don't have Karen, but if it's any constellation, you got me.
Yes. Okay. And Brent, one of my favorite meatballs around.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a Mrs. Meatball, though.
No Mrs. Meatball. Anyway, so we got a lot to cover tonight. Hashtag RHAP had a very fun show on Friday night with the Battleback Showdown with Mike Bloom the other night. So hopefully we can keep the fun going, and let's get into everything from tonight's episode. We had some speculation on Friday night that Jessica was going to be the HOH. We got to see that competition play out, and it was a really just crazy night of Josh just like trolling Jessica and Cody, that they were just so excited to see each other, but Josh just can't stand them and they can't stand him. Brent, I know you are Team Josh. You're all in on Josh. I love Josh for the fireworks, but is it working? Is Josh trying too hard to be something here?
I don't know, because it's not innately coming from Josh. I mean, what you saw on the episode 10 minutes prior to eviction, where Josh was trying to rile up Jessica and get her upset, that was all Paul's doing. Paul was the one saying, you know, you got to talk to Jessica. We want to get her upset because we think she has this temptation. Of course, he doesn't know what it does, but he's still worried about it. Cut forward to the HOH competition. Again, Paul is the one talking to Josh in the room with everybody saying, you know, you're the only one that really gets under their skin. You really need to do something. Josh is like, I don't really want to do that. I feel like Mr. and Mrs. Meatball have had enough. I don't want to start anything. But then the competition starts and he loses. And of course, he's off to the races, mainly by Paul's doing. I know Taryn on Twitter was giving Paul a lot of props for, oh, well, that was all Paul's doing. I'm so impressed by that. But on the other hand, Josh is just like a toy soldier that you just wind up. Like, it doesn't matter who's winding him up. It just matters that he's wound up, and then off he goes.
Pooya, what's your thought on Josh?
I love Josh. I mean, he's been fun to watch. Bit of a wild card. We had a debate last week whether he's an alpha, he's a beta, he's somewhere in the middle. Someone said he's an omega. So it's just he's all over the place, right? He's like, if you spilt a house guest on the floor, that's what you're getting with Josh. It's a lot of everything. And I'm excited to see him. Is he doing the right things? I don't think so, but hey, he's going to be on the block anyways, in my opinion.
He must have said meatball 15,000 times, Brent, tonight.
Yeah. On the other hand, I haven't heard it used like since I was watching Tony Danza on Who's the Boss. So
Angela, you want a meatball?
I'm okay. Like, I mean, it's something fun. I mean, Rob, look, we've got Josh, or we have to put up with Matt. I mean, come on. What you got?
Yeah. Well, Matt should just take on like calling everybody different cereal. I think that would be good. Like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Golden Graham over there. Hey, who's a Golden Graham? You just got Golden Grammed. Oh, Yeah. I mean, listen.
Maybe Mr. and Mrs. Meatball been through enough already.
Is it good to be a meatball or is it bad to be a meatball? Pooya, I thought when he uses meatball, like I think that maybe his mentor Paul just told him, okay, just take a word like friendship, just take any word out of the hat and then make it a thing. And when he got put up on the block, he's like, oh, I'm making meatballs. Who wants a meatball? You're a meatball. This is meatballs. How many different meanings does meatball have?
So, like, for me, it's one of two directions. Either he really hated Snooki and Dina from the Jersey Shore, and now this is his way of 5 years later getting back at them for whatever reason. Or, and this is what I thought the minute I heard it tonight a billion times, is, I miss IKEA. I need to go back to IKEA. They got the meatballs.
Swedish meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's where it's at.
Look, I mean, here's the thing, Rob. You have to understand that Josh is, I mean, Alex called it on a live feed update earlier this week, where it's total revenge of the nerds for him. He is the nerd, and he wants to get back at the people who have been totally getting him down. Those names are Jessica, Cody, the popular people, and a little bit Mark, Elena, and Matt. Those are the people that he saw had fantasies about going after. So he thinks of them as meatballs or meatheads or whatever jock terminology you want to use to describe that. That's his lingo. I really don't feel like he pulled this out from anywhere. I really do feel like this is how Miami, that's how they refer to him in the house, talks like this in real life. And I'm kind of here for it. Again, I go back to the fact that most people in the house don't really have any semblance of a personality. Josh does. He's here to play. He wants to win, and I'm here for it.
I just feel like that he's trying so hard to get meatballs over. Is anybody else besides Josh saying meatball? I'm looking up meatball on Urban Dictionary. And
yeah, but no one said friendship before last year either. I mean, what? Yeah. I feel like this is like the draft all over again. Like every once in a while you get like a wild hair up you, like where you're like something bugs you.
What about me? I'm the only one, Brent. I think that we said meatball 30,000 times tonight.
I was here.
Crazy Rob.
Are you not entertained? I mean, I was entertained by it. So
I don't know. I didn't find it to be organic in terms of like, I felt like he was trying so hard to force something and it wasn't playing for me. I mean, frankly, tell me if, Brent, could we get a little bit of a reset of the rivalry between Josh and Cody and Jessica? Like where did this all come from?
Well, his rivalry with Jessica is stemming from the fact that during the Josh versus Mark fight, Jessica decided to stick her nose into it, which she totally should have just kept her mouth shut. And she wanted to prove to everybody that he was not truthful with his word. In Josh's own head, he thinks he's been good to his word. Of course, he hasn't been. He told both sides during week 1 that I swear to you, I'm voting with your side. And he was lying to one side. So he hasn't been truthful here. And Jessica was right. But it was like she won the battle, but she lost the war because she won the battle and she showed that Josh wasn't truthful. But she lost the war because she made a mortal enemy in Josh who really won't ever look at her the same way again. Not to mention the fact that Cody and Josh just don't get along. Josh just gets under Cody's skin because he tried to get up in his face after week 1 and say, hey guys, I just want to tell you, no hard feelings. I still love you. Cody's like, get out of my face. Then Cody gets into it with Josh because Cody's calling Josh. He's talking about the fact that Josh looks at some of the girls in the shower, and he says he's going to tell everybody that on the outside. So that gets Josh down because now Josh is being called disgusting and perverted by somebody like Cody, who was going to be evicted and presumably go to the outside world. So that's where a lot of this stuff's coming from.
Yeah. Pooya, is it just me, or is Josh making Cody and Jessica come across as sympathetic?
Absolutely. I mean, he's just think of the narrative they've had. They were on the outs. They tried to blindside, didn't work. They stuck with it. Then the next week, one of them gets the boot. Jessica's there all alone. And then she starts bouncing back. Bit of an undercat thing going on. Wins gets that mass hex appeal bestowed upon her. And then now is 9v2 in this HOH competition. Like, you leave him alone. Like, everyone's dumping these punishments on them throughout the comp. He didn't really need to go above and beyond. He really shouldn't have. But I guess it's one of those things with Josh where he just enjoyed that carnage so much that he thought, this is not good enough unless I get in on it too.
Yeah, and Rob, I really feel like you're underestimating this because I know you're thinking, well, he's landed on a little thick. But on the other hand, this is how Josh gets in good with people like Paul and proves his loyalty in his own eyes. Now, look, I don't know if that's really what's happening, but that's Josh's perception that Josh thinks like, okay, I'm going to do what Paul tells me to do. I'm going to be his right-hand man. If he wants me to go after these guys, I'm going to go after them, and Paul will protect me. And we're going to see what happens this week, whether or not Paul is willing to protect Josh when he's on the block.
Yeah, no, I get that, that he wants to go out there and be sort of like a fill-up to Paul's Boston Rob in terms of being the person that's going to go out there and be the spectacle and be the distraction. I understand that, but Paul's not sitting there in the diary room either, Brent.
I agree, and I agree with your assessment that Josh in some ways makes Jessica and Cody look sympathetic because although I feel like they do some of it to themselves, seeing the two of them totally be ostracized by the house during that HOH competition, that wasn't fun. Nobody would like to switch places with them. I know I wouldn't want to be. That would be my worst nightmare, being in a competition that you have to win. Of course, I know they have the halting hex, but let's set that aside for a second. You have to win this competition or you're probably going to be nominated. It's not a fun place to be, and I really did empathize with them, and it wasn't a good look for the rest of the house.
Right, and so we had this competition where you got to assign punishments to people, and it worked out in a way where people were just piling on, literally, different punishments, mostly onto Cody, some onto Jessica Pooya. There has never been a character in the Big Brother house that I identified more with than Road Rage Guy.
Road Rage Guy was a riot and a half. He was so great. And I believe, I'm not sure exactly which competition, but he's been in the Big Brother house last season. BB18.
That was not the same guy that was sleeping on people in the airport in the the last week's veto.
I mean, no offense to that. I think that guy was a little more colossal than this Road Rage Guy.
Yeah, here's Road Rage Guy.
Now I'm late for yoga. You think I look this good by waiting around, sitting doing nothing? You've got to be kidding me. Some of us have lives.
That guy was great. That guy was great. Comes in, yells at everybody. Brent, I like when they bring other people in to mess with the house guests. I
mean, I guess it's okay. I feel like they didn't do it for so long. Like for 15 years, no one was allowed into the backyard. Like the house guests weren't allowed to see anybody. Remember, the house guests.
Hold on, Brent. What about the mime in Big Brother 4 that got on Allison's nerves?
Okay, yeah, fine, sure, fine.
That guy was great.
I know, and in Big Brother 10, they had some contortionist in the backyard again. But to actually have them interacting with the house guests, I feel like is a bit much, and they didn't really do that up until say 16, and now it feels like it happens every week. So I'm not really here for that. Part of the whole thing about being in the Big Brother house is that you're cut off from the outside world. These are the only people that you get to interact with. Even when you go in the diary room, you don't get to see the person who's talking to you.
Road Rage Guy, they're interacting with Road Rage Guy.
Again,
I know it was
Rob,
one thing.
I'm a purist.
Christmas's physical therapist was going to come in.
Don't even get me started on Christmas getting to use that scooter during that endurance competition. I mean, can we talk about that for a second? I'll be Road Rage Guy for that.
Got to do Christmas's physical therapy. Christmas! Are you kidding me?
That was me.
To do today.
On Twitter, when I saw that she got to stand on that freaking scooter for 3 hours in that competition, I was like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. She is not playing on the same playing field as everybody else.
All right. Brent thinks that was unfair. Taryn said on the live feed update, Pooya, that he thinks it was actually harder for Christmas. Where do you come down on this, Pooya?
No shade to Brent at all. At all. I think there's some kind of argument that could be made for why it might have been a little bit more difficult for her, right? So as someone who's at a cast at one point in their life, for me, it was my arm. But when you have an itch, you will shove anything into this cast to scratch that itch. So immediately that for me is one thing. She's standing there 2 hours, 45 minutes, cannot touch this, cannot handle it. And then the whole thing is, it's a very mental heavy comp, in my opinion. So you watch her holding this thing. She has to make sure none of these people around her are getting in her head. She has to make sure none of these distractions are distracting her. And I mean, if we want to argue it a little bit, I mean, look at Cody, look at Jessica. The more they got punished, the more they were focused. It was all about mental strength, and they were able to overcome it. Now, do I agree with Brent that that was still a little shifty and that she still got to have a pressure point for her to elevate her leg? Absolutely. But I don't think it was that big of a factor. I think it looks bad that she was final 2 in this competition, but
Yeah, I don't think it was that big a deal, Brent.
Yeah,
And then it was a hold your arm out competition. It wasn't like a balance competition.
And so, look, again, I'm tired of. I express my rage. I want to move on because nobody listens to me on this. I feel like I'm old man screaming at a cloud, like in The Simpsons. Like I'm just over it, you know. Like I mean, it's not the point that it's fair or unfair or that it was harder or easier. The point is that it's different. It's different than the other house guests, and that's why she shouldn't be allowed to do it.
Yeah, you're such a stickler, Brent.
I can be sometimes.
So I want to get back to some of these punishments because the punishments were pretty wacky. Like sometimes, some of them seemed worse than others. Where we had a guy come, he's gonna like dump garbage like at the feet of it. Like I feel like that if you want to dump garbage on somebody, like dump it on Cody's head. It's like, oh, we're gonna put this garbage around your feet. And then we're going to put some stuff on your back. Brent, did you have any issue with the punishments?
No, I thought they were a little bit lame, especially when they started repeating. And then the fact that they couldn't really put anything in front of them. It was all behind them. The spray can, the spray can guy was the worst. He like came out there and quietly just sprayed their butt a little bit and then walked away like he was ashamed or something.
Yeah, but what was that supposed to be? Here's Alex talking about the punishment for Ramses.
The graffiti artist is back, and he wants to tag that ass.
Tag that ass? Pooya, is that even a thing?
It's 100% a thing. I had not heard of it in this context
I'm going to open that up while I have Urban Dictionary open.
No, it's tap that ass, Rob. Tap that ass. Yeah. But they're making a play on words. Come on, work with them here.
That's a bit of a stretch, no?
No, I feel like you're being the stickler now. Like, come on, like it was fun, you know. It was just they changed one letter. They're trying to make a pun.
Tag that ass.
Tag that ass.
Why did it have to be a tag on your butt?
Rob, these are the questions why you have Pooya here.
I don't know, Pooya. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing what the joke is supposed to be there. I've heard tap that you know what, but tag that ass. Come on.
Well, mass appeal.
I don't get it in the chat. It doesn't make sense.
Well, like there's mass appeal. You drop the M and it's ass appeal. That's kind of how it's going.
Yeah. Okay. I guess so. I guess we could just change one letter in things and make it a different word, but it doesn't mean it makes sense. Okay. But I want to talk about this punishment that was given out where there was a punishment where they came out and did what? They were going to put ketchup and mustard on the back of Cody, and here's what the hot dog guy is going to give to Cody, and Josh is loving it.
They're throwing ketchup and mustard on Cody. Screw that. Grab the marinara and the mozzarella cheese, baby, and throw it on this meatball.
Hold on a second here, Josh. Now, isn't this the same guy, Brent, that it has a staunch anti-condiment throwing policy?
As long as
like, whoa, that's too far.
As long as you don't get it in his eyes. If you get it in his eyes, then he's got something to say about it. But that was the main issue with Mark. He's like, I can't see, I'm blinded. How dare you do that? Oh my God. It wasn't all like, the fact that he threw condiments on him.
Yeah. What do you think, Pooya?
I mean, I don't really have many problems with the condiments, but like you mentioned this already, why is he pigeonholing this meatball thing? Like, is he like asking for it in his HOH basket? Like, I don't understand. Marinara, mozzarella.
He's playing it for the catchphrase, and it's not working, Brent.
I don't know. It seems like it's working for Paul. I mean, he said friendship 1,000 times last year. We bitched about it, and then he comes back this year with friendship bracelets to the point that Alex, who's in the house, thinks that he can't break his word because of, wait for it, friendship.
Okay, that's fine. But let me go out on a limb and predict in Big Brother 20, Josh ain't coming back with a tray of meatballs on night 1.
No, but I mean, I don't know. Again, and I say this with all respect. I don't know why this is bothering you so much because like I love it that he's calling
Not
them meatballs.
working. It's not working,
I don't
Brent.
think it's working. Okay, so you think it's falling a little flat. I thought it was funny when Josh was singing that song to Cody in the backyard. I
you
was
mean
like,
this?
I was here.
You look like a pack of meatballs. You're about to drop it, baby.
There's no wit here, Brent.
You're a tough critic, Rob. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but again, you know, it's like it's Big Brother contestants. It's not like they're on Last Man Standing. You know, it's just they're trying their best.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe it's one of those things where, you know, these two are meatballs in the negative connotation. He wins HOH next week, and he's like, I'm a happy meatball, and he just loses it. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more left to be discovered with these meatballs.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. We'll see. We'll see what the jury of social opinion says on Twitter and Facebook on the Meatball Watch. I don't know. I think it's a little thin soup, Pooya.
Well, it pairs well with meatballs, so it's okay.
All right. Anyway, so ultimately Jessica is gonna walk away being the HOH, and a lot of power bestowed on Jessica. Brent, are you still feeling Jessica?
Yeah, I kind of am, believe it or not. I had someone actually write me on Twitter earlier and said, you know, don't give up on Jessica. I know we didn't like these nominations, but she can still be the Janelle that we need, not necessarily the Janelle that we want. And, you know, she because people hated Janelle during week 1. And then they grew to like her. She was in a showmance that was sort of short-lived, but then that guy went home. The only difference here is that Cody came back. Now she's winning competitions at about week 4, week 5. So I'm on the Jessica train. I do have problems with these nominations, which we can get into. But, I mean, it was very hard for me to be unsympathetic to Jessica right now because the house was so against her, and I really, really hate it when the house gangs up on somebody to a point where it's just obvious that it's them against the world.
Yeah. It's such a weird spot for her to be in, Pooya, because I felt like that she is making a lot of inroads last week to the point where then she had this advantage, but now here comes Cody back into the picture. And yes, she wins the HOH, but her and Cody are alone on an island to some degree.
Yeah, and I think that's where the problem stems from. I think had Cody not come back in, hypothetically speaking, Jessica was building enough bonds that she would have probably been able to navigate through this without a hitch. With Cody coming back, it's a little bit more of the Aaron Grease, where it's like, I've won the HOH. If I don't do what you guys want to say, what you guys say, I'm in trouble. So she's trying to buy goodwill by not putting her, you know, people that she wants to work with on the block, and by listening to what they want, and like ultimately to her getting Josh out is a good enough treat. And I think having the halting hex in her back pocket is allowing her to overlook this one big blind side that is, they've done this before, they can do it again.
Okay. A lot of questions I want to ask, but I feel like I should wait until we get to spoilers so we can talk more about stuff from the live feed. So I will come back to that. Ultimately, Josh and Ramses are the nominations that they go with. Brent, do you feel like, is this a little too playing it safe?
Actually, no. I think she's leaving herself wide open for a blind side here. I don't understand these nominations, and I didn't when the feeds first came on. There was a spoiler that came up before that said Josh and Ramses are on the block. I was praying to God that wasn't true. And again, I don't get. Look, I understand the Josh nomination. I do. I have problems with it, but I understand it because you have to live with these people, and it's just impossible to live in a house with Josh. But I don't think he's the power center of anything, and you're not going to fundamentally change the landscape of the game even if you do get Josh out of the house. However, I have a huge problem with the Ramses nomination because it seems like they're putting Ramses up. And again, I was so mad at this episode. I was hoping going into the episode that we were going to get clarification on why Ramses ended up as a nominee, because the feeds came on after Ramses had already been nominated. I'm like, well, how did this happen? Did Paul orchestrate it? Did they just think of this on their own? Did Ramses, do something to piss them off? And again, this episode really didn't clarify it very much. It just seems like that he's somebody who's off on an island and doesn't have any friends. And so let's throw him up there as a placeholder and hope that Josh goes home. And that seems to be where the episode ends.
Right. Again, we've talked about this a lot with this idea of the Jenga game of like, what's a piece you could take off the board that's not going to make the whole thing come tumbling down. And I think that they are very concerned about what happens after. You heard them both talk about this. Hey, this isn't just about this week. We want to be set up moving forward. I think that they're very gun shy after that Cody week 1, Brent.
Yes, I would agree with that. Well, we can get into more in the spoiler section, but I do feel like that after week 1, where Cody really rocked the boat and made some amazing moves, bold moves. You know, it was like, I don't know, it's like Ronald Reagan always said, like, you don't want to use like pale colors and pastels, like you want to use bold colors. You know, I feel like that's the way Cody played the game during week 1, and I feel like Jessica could use a little bit more of that now, because these nominations really aren't going to do her a lot of good. It's probably just going to end up where you're giving the power over to the people who were all against you during the HOH competition. And I don't understand why you think you made inroads when it was clear from the HOH competition that nobody was rooting for you. And if anybody else had won, you would have probably ended up on the block. I also think that this halting hex is giving her like a little bit of false security, but in a way it's also sort of staying her hand where she's like, well, I don't want to make any moves so that I have to use the halting hex. I'd rather make the quote-unquote safe move, but this is anything but a safe move.
Okay. Let's talk about something big that we have to get into. Kevin wraps himself in saran wrap before he goes to bed. Pooya, have you heard of this before?
I want to say I had seen it on a sitcom or two at some point. Never really got the science on it. I feel like we should page Liana in and ask her what's going on.
Brent, have you ever tried this?
I have tried many, many things to lose weight. This is not one of them. This reminds me of those like contraptions that you'd put around your waist and then have it like vibrate yourself to death so that you lose weight, like they would have on infomercials in like the late 1990s. Like I thought this was very fun, and I thought it was interesting how much saran wrap Kevin's using every night. I'm like, I hope he brought that in.
The house must be going through it left and right. Does the house know about this? In terms of what, like, why are we getting so many rolls of saran wrap in the house? That was such a funny scene where Paul's like, "Whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, Paul, watch this. I gotta wrap myself. Gotta put this on. That's how I stay in shape. I gotta put all the saran wrap on me." Like, wait, what?
Good times.
Oh, I couldn't believe this. Pooya, did we know about this before the episode?
I was 100% not privy to this. Either I skipped my feed or my timeline and I just had not seen it. But I will say, though, times better than Dominique's rap.
Yeah. A lot better than the Dominique rap. I don't know if I have it right here. No. Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go.
It's never easy to witness a false fact. It's never easy to dribble the ball back. So I dribble to scribble through all of that. Dunking hope against hope, I call this very moment.
Yeah. So there you go.
I love, Rob, I have to tell you that I love the retells of Dominic's speech in the house, because Cody's like, well, what did she say? And Whistlenut's like, oh, it was just some basketball thing that I didn't understand. Like, of course, it has nothing to do with basketball. She just used basketball metaphors in order to try to get her point across.
Yeah. Now, at what point does Kevin take off the plastic wrap, Brent?
I believe it happens in the morning. Like, he thinks that he goes to bed with this and somehow is able to breathe. I love how after he got done putting it around him, he like made muscles and like showed Paul his body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I love Kevin.
What's the science there? That it's squeezing all your organs together, or is it making you sweat?
I think it's the sweat. He thinks like he's sweating out calories, and that he's specifically like targeting that area. I think that's what he thinks is happening.
I love it. That's great. All right, let's start to bring up some questions. Brent, was there anything else from the episode you wanted to touch on before we get into questions and ultimately the live feeds?
Nothing much except for the end where Josh is crying in the diary room. Obviously, he thinks at this point that he's going home. He seemed obviously crushed in the diary room that he's nominated. Obviously, you saw him trying to talk to Jessica. I was really, really pissed off at Cody and Jessica for not at least having a conversation with Josh. I mean, I know Josh has been insufferable, but I feel like you start to lose the Big Brother game when you cut off communication with somebody like that. I mean, they won't even talk to him right now. And he's going to likely have a chance to at least win the veto. And if he does, you're going to have to deal with them going forward.
You know, you bring up him crying in the diary room again, and I think that's part of the problem that I have with Josh, that he is able to dish it out.
Yeah.
He's laughing, he carries on, but then when it comes down to it, he can't take it, and he gets broken so easily, and he's crying, he misses his family, and people are mean to him. Where, you know, we were going to talk to Karen tonight, but she played in a season with Ika, who could dish it out with anybody, and then you couldn't hurt her with what you're saying to her. And he's just so, like, he just can dish it out, meatball, meatball, meatball. But then if you say to him, no, you're a meatball.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
I hate that.
Yeah, I totally concur. That's part of the reason why Cody and Jessica have seemed a bit sympathetic to me, because I do feel like in some ways Josh has been a little disgusting with how he has interacted, and I don't use that word lightly, but some of the things he has said about Cody and Jessica, and I feel like Jessica was right to call him out during the nomination speech about, you know, this is why I'm putting you on the block, and I don't really think you deserve to be in the game. And then, you know, 5 minutes later, he's in the diary room crying like, I do deserve to be in the game. Like, how dare they say that about me? On the other hand, I know it bugs us to death, but again, I mean, how many wallpaper people like Jillian do we have in the house? I would much rather have people like Josh.
Sure. Look, I don't want him to go home or anything like that. I'm just saying that's why I'm not in on Josh. I wouldn't say that I'm rooting. Like, he could stay, but I'm not a Josh stan.
Yeah, I'm not I used to be a Josh stan. Now I'm sort of like, I just don't want him to go home because I'd rather see other people go home.
Okay. Pooya, what do you think about the victim noises of Josh?
Okay, it started off sympathetic, and then at this point, it's just irritating. I mean, you guys have both touched on it perfectly. It's just too much. Like, you cannot be this type of guy and be that type of guy. Like, you can be one person. If you're going to dish it, you got to take it. And the fact that it's been 30 days and he still hangs on words the people he's hating on saying, it's just like he's not able to overlook these things. So as an entertainment factor, I'm in. As anyone with equity or someone I'm going to be rooting for, no, I'm out.
Yeah. And I'm no Jessica fan. So it's not coming from a place where, I love Jody so much and I have to defend them. I just want my people who are my reality TV villains to be villains, have a little more wit than just saying the same word. And then don't be crying if somebody, says boo to you, Brent.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to bring this up later, but we might as well just talk about it quickly right now. I have heard from many people on Twitter who have written me directly, either tagged me or private messaged me and said, I'm just not feeling this season. Why is that so? Because it seemed like we loved the cast when they came in, and it can't just be because Paul's here. And I concur with them in some aspects, because I do feel like that the lines are very blurry right now in the house about who is the hero of our story, who's the villain of our story. I feel like, I've always said this, Rob. I feel like reality TV shows work best when you know who the heroes and the villains of the story are. You have people to root against, and you have people to root for.
Who are the bad guys? Sure.
Yeah, and right now it's just like, it's sort of like Paul and Cody and a little bit of Josh and all these other people that are in the house that we don't know boo about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't bum me out too much. What do you think, Pooya?
I mean, as a core audience, Big Brother, everyone's always loved when there's one side of the house, other side of the house going at it. And I mean, that's why so many people hold Big Brother 6 to the highest regard. But for me, this season has stuck. I've really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying what we're seeing. I think that this Paul versus Cody thing that a lot of people jokingly said night one when we were watching the premiere, the fact that it's still back and out in the open, the fact that they still have the Hex, the fact that this back and forth is going to go on for a little bit more, I think there's still an opportunity for us to get what we really want out of the show. There's just a lot of riffraff in the middle that are not being either looked at or targeted. And the worry I think we all have as an audience is we're going to be left with Matt, I'd rather eat cereal, and Raven, I don't want to hear you. Like these are the people we see ourselves being with come late August, come September. And like that's the worry, I think.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. I think that it's not for me so much that it's not the characters or the cast, but I would say that the gameplay is a bit top heavy. I think you have like between the Paul side and then the Cody and Jessica subplot, which we're very lucky that we still have that here in week 4 or heading into week 4 after Cody got backdoored in week 2. So it's really just of those other people in the house, are kind of Whistlenut or Alex or Kevin or somebody emerge and then, sort of give Paul a run for this thing. You have a lot of people that you just don't hear a strategic peep from, like the Ravens and the Matts and, some of the underbelly of this house.
I do hear what you're saying. On the other hand, I was listening to Arissa Cox earlier on Twitter tonight, and she said, I know that things look a certain way right now, but Big Brother, things change on a dime. And it doesn't take a lot for the house to switch and for people to say, you know what, I'm willing to do this. I do feel like a little bit of their staying their hand is because of Paul. But if some people learn not to listen to him anymore, then this game is really up for grabs.
Okay. And let's get into some of these questions from you guys. Scott St. Pierre putting everything together. And here is from Karen. Damn wind caused power outage, so no RHAP tonight. Sadly, Rob will have to dish up meatballs and talk game without me. I used to like wind way back when. Now I don't like it. This is from Sherilyn, who says, at Rob Cesternino, when you spray paint graffiti on something, it's called tagging. Thus, tag dat ass instead of tap dat. Get it? LOL. Yeah, I get it. It just doesn't make sense. I get it. I understand that, tag, you tag something, that's graffiti. And then when you tap that ass, that's sexual intercourse. I understand, but we're just conflating what? That it doesn't make any sense, Brent.
I plead the fifth. I've already tried to argue this, and you're not taking my my reason. So, I thought it was enjoyable, and I liked it, and I liked the play on words. So, I don't need a lot from my Big Brother, Rob. Big Brother is like cotton candy and popcorn.
Yeah, I don't know. Pooya, is that a play on words?
Yeah, it's punderful.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I look maybe my wordplay. I have such high standards for that.
Apparently,
yeah. That I'm throwing a comedy yellow card at that. Stop it. It's not good. Okay, who's better at blanketing, Audrey or Josh? Why? Josh is blanketing, Brent?
Yeah, well, you saw him at the end of the episode. He's all boo-hooing about the fact that he's probably going home, and he's pulling a little bit of an Audrey.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But is that real, Brent, or is he just playing it up because Paul told him to?
I don't know. That's sort of spoiler-esque territory to find out, anything that happened after the episode.
Okay.
Yes.
The famous comedian John Densford was Josh so good he actually caused Jessica to make the worst possible pawn nomination next to him. Pooya, do you want to give credit to Josh for antagonizing her so much that's why she put Ramses up as a pawn?
No.
Thank you.
I really don't think Josh had anything to do with that. I think Josh was definitely going to be up there, and I think it's one of those things where she's like, well, Ramses is good with me. He'll understand if I call him a pawn. These other people, I'm trying to gain their trust. I'm not about to put them on the block. I think that was more the rationale than, Meatball Josh trying to figure it out. I don't think that was him.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so you're wanting me to give credit to Josh for the problem that he got put on the block. I mean, no. I can't do that. And he had nothing to do with Ramses going up on the block next to him. He caused himself being put in danger by his behavior in the house. Full stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't like the plan.
No. I mean, Josh had nothing to do with it. I don't like Jessica's plan, but again, Josh had nothing to do with it.
More of a turkey meatball, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Vegetarian meatball.
Okay, well, the worst. Why is Josh more about meatballs and marinara than a Cuban press sandwich? Look, that's not fair. Stacked in FL that just because that if he is from Miami, he can eat whatever he wants. He can have meatballs. That could be his thing. Cuban sandwich does not roll off the tongue in terms of a catchphrase.
That's true.
Yeah. Anthony wants to ask, have they put the HOH room reveal on hiatus? And will it come back like Big Brother Canada, Pooya?
I mean, maybe Paul wins and we see it again. I don't know. Like for a while I was like, well, maybe it's selective, but I really don't understand. I really don't understand why we got a bit of a flash and then not again. Like,
I
I'm
mean,
not sure.
I can answer that. I think the issue is just time. Like, they want more time to be able to show more commercials and to get, a little bit more dollars out of their show. It's just like Survivor when they took away the intro. Jeff Probst is like, well, I'd rather have, an extra minute to tell the story, even though we really don't get that minute to tell the story. But Big Brother, likewise with the key wheel, like it's just gone away. It's time that the show doesn't have. They're trying to distill it down to the lowest common denominator, and this is what you get. They don't got time for that. The only way that the HOH room reveal will come back is if there is any drama that comes because of it.
Sure. Are we missing it?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like this is progress. No,
Yeah.
Pooya?
I feel like I was okay with seeing like the one-timer. It's like, yeah, Paul wins. We see it once. If Paul wins again, we don't need to see it. We can skip through it. Next person wins. If it's their first time, sure. I feel like a lot of the time it just became taxing because like by Final Five, like we're done with the fake. Like everyone's laughing about it and everyone's excited.
Let me say something really quickly though. The one thing I will caution everybody is by doing away with it, we lose a chance to get to know people other than Paul, and that has been the real problem with this season is that Paul has been everywhere. He's been the narrator. He's been a hero. He's been a bit of an anti-hero. He's been the villain to some people, but we haven't really got to know a lot of these other people. I feel like if we would have got like an HOH room movie reveal with Alex or Jessica, we could hear more from them about their lives, about their family members, about their job, and you get to know these people. And right now it's just the Paul show.
Yeah, and we did get to hear Jessica talk about why it was so important to her to be on Big Brother and about her dad. And so I feel like that we can still get that stuff. It doesn't need to be in the HOH room reveal. I think that most of the time it's pretty boring other than it's like, whoa, hold on. This person has an attractive family member. Let's talk about this. There's very little meat that comes out of it or meatballs. Although, Brent, do you think that it was Paul's coded letter that really was the deal breaker?
It could have been. I don't know why they didn't just do what Big Brother Canada did and switch to video. I like that a lot more, and I thought it was a lot more personable and a lot more interactive when you're watching the television show.
Yeah. When Josh wins HOH later on this season,
Oh,
Brent,
hush.
will he end up getting a letter of like, Dear Josh, watch out for Paul. He's a spicy meatball. Kevin is looking more and more like a low-fat meatball, if you ask me. All right. Mr. Taryn, better at trolling competitions, Josh or Evil Dick? Got to be Josh, right?
I mean, my Big Brother 8 is probably my weakest, like, first 10 season, but I remember more like Mike Dutz being the one who was antagonizing people, not Evil Dick. Like, I mean, you don't want to, especially during an HOH competition or a veto competition when the HOH is competing, you don't want to, like, antagonize people who could put you up on the block. I mean, that seems to be anathema to good gameplay, you know?
Yeah, I feel like with Evil Dick.
Enough already.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
And I think that's it, Rob. I think the fact that Josh has shown these chinks in his armor and hasn't like stuck through with this aggressive persona, no one's really taken him for anything. Whereas Evil Dick, people were genuinely like kind of terrified of the guy. He was just yelling and being ridiculously aggressive. So I think it's just it's different strokes. And I think Josh is just discounted. Like he's seen more as the court jester. Whereas when Evil Dick's doing that stuff, you're genuinely somewhat terrified.
Okay. This is from Krista. Justin Cody shouldn't have nominated Mark instead of Ramses. What do you think? Let's talk Mark. We got to see a little bit of Mark and Cody tonight trying to patch things up, but it seemed like that neither of them really meant what they were saying, Pooya.
No, like I mean, Cody definitely not. But with Mark, I don't know. I feel like Mark genuinely felt bad, you know, the big softy. And he seems like the type of person where it's like you let him do your homework and he thinks you're bonding.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he was kind of relieved that Cody came back and he gets to like try and fix it and be nice and like get that bit of guilt off of his shoulder. But Mark be Mark. He's weird.
Yeah, to answer the question, no, they should not have put Mark up on the block. Again, I don't understand why Kevin avoids being a pawn here. I really don't get that. If you're looking for somebody who everybody sort of loves and would never vote against, nominate Raven or Kevin. If you don't want to piss off Raven and Matt by extension by nominating her as a pawn, then put Kevin on the block. Who's Kevin got? I mean, seriously, and what's he going to do about it even if he is pissed off? I do not understand how Kevin avoids being on the block. Pisses me off.
Saran wrap. He's too thin.
Yes.
The skinny
Sneaks
target.
through.
You don't see him there. Taylor Cotter says, isn't it a bummer that Disabled Christmas took the brunt of losing the HOH when her lame allies all fell out in the first 5 minutes? You know, it's funny because that competition was going on and a bunch of people fell out. And then I was like, boy, I guess this competition's going on a long time. And then like on the bottom of the screen, the Chiron says like 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Like, what?
Well, the first 3 people were out in the first minute. I mean, Paul didn't even last a minute. Mark didn't last like 30 seconds. Kevin didn't even last 20 seconds.
Yeah. I thought Paul was funny when he got out.
Just kidding. I totally don't got this.
This is a very fun competition, by the way. I enjoy stuff like this where it's basically, if you can will yourself to a win, if you need a win, you can get it. I like competitions like this, but just don't use a scooter.
Okay. Melinda says, did anyone else notice that they used the BB Can music for previously on? Was that a shout out to the recently renewed Big Brother Canada? I did not catch that.
I did not catch that either. Is that a true story or is that fake news?
Could be fake news.
I'd have to go back and watch the episode.
I think more people would have caught that. I don't know what the connection would be. We'll go back and check it out. Whitney Dawn, am I the only one that misses the old style nomination ceremony? Still not used to the block memory wall style. Yeah, I would say if you're going to bring back that or the Who Wants to See My HOH Room, I'd rather have that back. But, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, again, this is people like, this is like I said previously, where it's like old man shouting at cloud. Like, it's not going to happen, people. Come on. Like, it's gone. It ain't coming back. They get through the nomination ceremony in like 2 seconds with the key blocks. The wheel took like 2.5 minutes, and it ain't coming back. Girl, bye.
Okay, sorry about that. All right. Pooya, anything else you want to talk about from the episode before we get into spoilers from the live feeds?
Yeah, because I feel like this will probably come up again. We're going to talk about how annoying he is. Matt, when they're all gathered in the room and Paul is trying to get Josh to go mad on Cody and stuff during the competition, Matt says, everybody relax, keep your heads about you, and win HOH. Not a big deal. No, Matt, you do something. Do something. What's your cereal, Matt? Whatever wets your cereal. Like, let's go.
He's busy.
Here's the thing. I can't be too mad at Matt, and I want to. I call him furniture. I think he's sort of useless in the house. But he's totally ignorant of the fact of what he should be doing. Like, he is not a person who has watched Big Brother before. He doesn't know that he should be talking about strategy. He doesn't know he should be wary of certain people in the house. He's just sort of taking everybody for their word, and he doesn't want to rock the boat. I mean, if I didn't know anything about Big Brother, I'd probably be behaving much like Matt. So I'm hoping that he can be a little bit like Paul, just a little, not a lot, but like Paul from last season, where he, doesn't really know the game, but he quickly adapts to it. I feel like this is what needs to happen. He needs to be stabbed in the back. That's what needs to happen because he's been in control of every vote up until now. He's been on the right side of the numbers every time. If he and Raven get stabbed in the back, he's going to come to play the game.
Okay. We'll see. Who would do that? Paul?
There are some people who don't really care for him, but I feel like Cody's emergence back into the house has sort of pushed Matt to the back burner for now.
Okay. We'll see. Brent, is it possible? Could they make some sort of meatball cereal? Is that possible?
Well, they make slop cookies, so anything's possible in the Big Brother
Anything's
house.
possible. All right. So we are going to dive into the live feeds. Of course, if you are not inclined to hear what we have to say in the live feeds, you want to wait till Wednesday night. We'll be back with another show after the Wednesday night episode of Big Brother 19. And with that being said, let's talk live feeds.
The Office of Civil Defense has issued the following message. This is
a spoiler.
Warning.
A spoiler.
Warning means that an actual
spoiler
against this country has been detected and that protective action should be taken.
I'm gonna do it on my scooter over here. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the live feeds. And so we've got a Veto in play. Brent, give us the catch up from the weekend.
Well, the veto competition took place, and Jessica, the HOH, is the winner of the power of veto. So she has all the power this week. She has the hex, she has the boyfriend, she has the veto, and she has HOH.
Mother of dragons.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But the problem is, in Big Brother, you cannot just evict the person that you want. You got to put 2 people on the block, and then the house gets to pick who they want to go home. So you got to be careful about who you nominate. I feel like Jessica needs to take a page out of Big Brother 101. Put 2 people on the block who you're okay with going home. That way, no matter what happens with the people in the house, you're okay. But she is playing a very dangerous game by leaving Ramses up on the block, if that's what she decides to do, because right now the house is planning on blindsiding her, Cody, Mark, and Elena, making it to 7-3 vote to send Ramses home, leaving Josh in the house to torment Jessica and Cody for another week.
Pooya, all I want this week is for Jessica to use the halting hex on her own HOH.
The scenes.
That's
the
all
scenes.
I want for Thursday night. Is that I want to hear this come out of Jessica's mouth.
Halting hex rise, eviction night dies. Halting hex rise, eviction night dies. Halting hex rise, eviction night dies.
I forgot that she slows down there at the end. Sorry.
Yeah. How great would that be?
Robert, in order for you to see that, I think a lot of people need to start snitching. I think this plan needs to blow up. The fact that it's been tightly lit pretty much so far is not good for your odds of seeing that happen.
Yeah.
But if the purse of information string loosens, I think then we will end up seeing maybe a little bit of that. However, I still think her goal is her and Cody. So even that, using it to save Ramses might not happen.
Yeah.
But it could.
Yeah.
This is. I think that even if they found that by Thursday, they'd be like, okay.
No. Yeah, this is fan fiction, Rob. That ain't going to happen. Jessica's going to hold on to that halting hex. Let me tell you. By the way, I didn't want to spoil something earlier, but that picture of that Liana sent in about who did it better, that's Josh play acting. Josh is really playing it up to the house, and by extension, Cody and Jessica right now, wearing the blanket, wearing the glasses, acting down, saying he's got a flight to go home to Miami. And Rob, this should be their clue that something's going on, because Josh would never willingly show how sad he is to Cody and Jessica. He would at least be strong in front of them, and then he'd bitch and moan in the diary room or to anybody else who would listen, okay? But the fact that he's absolutely moping around the house should be Jessica's clue that, you know what, they're planning on hoodwinking you on this one, and you should change your nominations. And she wasn't thinking about changing her nominations until we fast forwarded till today. And today she got a little bit of a hint that maybe something is going on. But the problem is that Cody is staying her hand, and that which infuriates me, because we saw in the episode tonight that Cody's like, look, I'm not going to play I'm not going to play my game. I'm going to play Jessica's game. I'm going to stay out of the way. I'm not going to tell her what to do. Cut to today, she's like, should I use the veto? I feel like we're going to be screwed over. And he's like, no, you should leave things alone. The nominations will be fine. And don't worry, if they actually do evict Ramses, I will come after the rest of the house and be so enraged to win HOH. I'm like, that's not a solution to the problem. That may be a solution in real life, but that's not a solution as a game mechanism. I just feel like they're really closing their eyes to a potential blindside here.
So hold on, Brent. So if hypothetically they had all the information and they knew that, okay, they're being fed a story, fed a bunch of meatballs with this Josh story, what do you think they should do? Put Paul on the block? Would they have enough votes?
Yes.
Would they have the votes to get him out?
No, but that's not the way I want it to go. They should put Paul on the block as a pawn. Put Paul on the block as a pawn. Say, you know what? I just don't trust. I feel like Ramses is going to be evicted. He doesn't have strong relationships with anybody in the house right now. The person who does have the strongest relationships in the house is Paul. Put him on the block. I guarantee you in that scenario, Josh goes home. Paul might like it, but so what? You've got the halting hex. If he wins HOH next week, he may not come after you, but if he does, you can. This is the other thing. The only good thing that Jessica has been doing with Cody is that she's not going to tell people exactly what the halting hex is. She's going to play a little Tony Vlachos and change the story a little bit so that they effectively, if somebody else wins HOH who's not on her side, that they do essentially what Cody and Jessica want them to do anyway. That is a good move. Leaving Ramses on the block to be blindsided is a bad move.
Pooya, do you like this idea of kicking up the hornet's nest and putting Paul on the block even if you can't get him out?
I do, and here's why. I think the biggest issue here is that Jessica and Cody think that their plan is working. They think they're able to reassimilate with the house, and they think by doing this, they're doing them a service. They will do them a service next week. They're wrong. And not only that, they're also doubting it. I mean, Cody's saying he doesn't trust Paul. He's saying he doesn't trust this person, that person. So then, therefore, why would you put someone next to the target you've made clear is your target and say, no, this guy's the pawn? That way, if they really do not want to work with you, they will go after your guy. So you put someone on the side that you don't necessarily think will be voted against, a la Raven, a la Paul. And like maybe not Paul for me because like Paul will go ham. Raven, just put her up. No one's going to vote her out. Everyone will understand why she's there. She's the pawn. We know you guys love her. We love her. So, yes.
Or
putting Ramses up, huge.
Put Kevin on the block. Put Christmas on the block. The only person, look, here's the thing. If the veto gets used tomorrow, the person that's going to go on the block is Alex. And I actually do support that nomination, not from a feed standpoint necessarily, because I'd like Alex to remain in the house. I feel like in that scenario, Josh probably goes. I don't know. It's very close, though. But Jessica is unable to work with Alex, and Alex also doesn't trust a thing that comes out of Jessica's mouth. I mean, talk about two cats that just will not work together. Jessica and Alex. It's like Joan Collins and Linda Evans on Dynasty. Like, they just will not get together. They will not learn to trust each other. And I feel like in the end, both of them are going to lose. But if she does use the veto, she's going to put Alex up on the block. And I do feel like in that scenario, Josh probably goes home.
And where does Cody stand in that scenario?
Cody is so gun-shy. I was trying to say this during the pre-spoiler section. Cody is so gun-shy, Pooya, about what happened during week 1. I feel like he's a changed man. He's like, well, we don't want to do too much. Like, just let the nomination stay right now. Like, people wouldn't do us wrong. You've done all this work to rebuild the house right now. Let's trust in your relationships. So he's basically saying, like, let's trust your game. But he's also neutering her in that he's not letting her make the move that she in her gut knows to be the correct move, which is to take Ramses down. Jessica said earlier today that if Ramses is evicted, she won't be able to forgive herself. Now, I think she eventually will, but she knows that that's not someone that should be leaving for her game. If she uses her HOH to get Ramses out, it's going to be such an utter failure. I know she has the halting hex, but she really should rethink this. And there's still time. There's still, 14 hours until the veto ceremony tomorrow. A lot can change in one night of Big Brother. And she already was spooked once today. The problem is that she went to Elena, Pooya, for confirmation about, am I going to be blindsided? But Elena's somebody else who isn't in on the plan. Mark and Elena are true to Cody and Jessica right now. So it's like the blind leading the blind. Elena's like, no, you aren't going to be blindsided. But Elena doesn't know the real plan, and Elena does think she knows the real plan because she's been so close up to Paul. I feel like another thing we need to talk about, you guys, is this a good move for Paul? Like, assuming this plan goes through and Jessica doesn't use the veto and Ramses goes home by a 7-3 vote, do we think that is a good play for Paul? Because I really don't think so.
Okay, well, let's talk about then the fallout from that, Pooya.
Yeah, like Brent, everything you said resonates with me. The fact that Cody went 1 for us, 1 for them week 1, and it backfired. Now he's doing the overcorrection of 1 for them, 1 for us next. Like, he's still talking about Paul. He's still talking smack about him every chance he can get, but he doesn't want to do anything now. He wants the first one to be for them. He wants to somehow believe that he's re-assimilated, believe he's got a shot, and then blindside. But he doesn't know he's going to get blindsided.
I don't understand how they can think that they're re-assimilated after the events of that HOH competition. How can you look at that with a straight face and tell me that any of the re-assimilation work that you've done in the house in any way took effect?
Well, how quick after the Cody return was that competition?
Well, the competition took place late Thursday night. It didn't get over until 6 in the morning. So obviously, the whole battle back happened on the eviction happened on Thursday. Then they had the battle back, and then I think the competition took place late that morning. I'm pretty sure is what happened. And then the next day is when Jessica made her ultimate nominations. Again, I don't really understand the Ramses nomination because a pawn on the block is not somebody like Ramses, who Cody said in the episode is somebody who doesn't have a lot of ties to anybody else in the house. If he doesn't, as Lita and Taryn said on the update show previously today, somebody who's on the block who doesn't have a lot of ties to somebody else in the house is also somebody that you can send home. No one's going to care if Ramses goes home. They would much rather keep Josh in the house to torment you. I will give credit to Josh. His moping around has definitely sold Jessica on the fact that he's going home. She's like, I wouldn't believe this plan. She said, I would believe this plan is too good to be true, except for the fact that Josh is acting like he's going home. But in my heart of hearts, I'm like, girl, this is a show. If Josh was really sad, he wouldn't give you the satisfaction of seeing him down. Think a little bit here. I also don't think there's a lot of hope for the POV to be used, because our one hope maybe, and this is me putting on my tinfoil hat, would be for the diary room to ask her some leading questions about, well, is that a good idea for these people to do something like that, and maybe get her thinking a little bit. But I don't think the diary room or the producers want to lose Josh either. I think they're more than happy for Ramses to go home, because he's not giving us anything right now. And the fallout from Thursday will be delicious, assuming Paul doesn't let Elena in on the plan.
Pooya, is part of the problem for Paul in that he has aligned with a bunch of losers who can't win competitions if he doesn't win them?
I mean, that could end up being his foil. He's won one of the 2 that his side supposedly won, and then the other one that Alex won, I feel like he kind of started working with her after the fact. So that's definitely the case. Paul is surrounded by dummies, which is great for him, because they're just letting him lead the road.
When we get down to Kevin Martin territory, isn't that going to be a problem for him?
I mean, if he turns it on for himself, like Kevin Martin, he didn't have to worry.
Here's the thing. Pooya, I hate this plan, and here's the reason why. If you really do leave Mark and Elena and Cody and Jessica all in the dark, number one, they suspect Jessica has a temptation. I don't hold it against them that they don't understand the true ramifications of it, because the second one was so terrible. But they are leaving people in the game who will be pissed off, who, 2, will be made to look foolish in front of America by voting on the wrong side and being completely blindsided. And 3, they are very, very capable when it comes to an HOH competition. Do we forget that Elena was second in that endurance competition? She lasted 4th or 5th in this one. Mark is no slouch. Cody will be competing. I feel like you're really rolling the dice. I don't understand this move from Paul's perspective, because you're leaving people in the house who will come directly after you. And his whole thing up until now was we're one big happy family with one target on the side, maybe 2. By leaving 4 people in the house who are all pissed off at you, I just feel like that is just, it's not his game, or it's not the game he's been playing this season.
I agree. It makes it he's in a situational position now, where if he wins the next one, or someone from his side wins the next one, if he feels like he can use the people he's blindsided, he can definitely talk him back in. I think he's got the gift of gab for that reason. But blindside them. The fact that a couple of them have already done this to someone in week 1, and then they're going to feel the brunt of it. If one of them wins, Paul is going to be in a pickle. So I think he did. A little bit of hot sauce, maybe. And I think that's what he should be terrified of, that he's doing this to people who are not down and out. And I mean, it's a lot to do to get Ramses out. It's too much.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Even if they do, I know some people on Twitter are like, well, he'll tell Elena. He's not going to let Elena and Mark get blindsided. First of all, I don't know if that's true, but let's assume that he does tell Elena. It's going to get back to Elena and Mark that you weren't in on this plan. You were told basically at the last minute after it had already been decided. And how much do you trust that side now? I do agree with you, Rob, that Paul's aligned himself with a bunch of losers on that side who aren't going to win squad. I don't care what Josh says. He's not going to win an HOH competition. And Paul's going to have to win it himself. And if he doesn't, somebody on Cody, Mark, Elena, they're going to win HOH, and they're going to feel wrong. It's one thing to be screwed over in Big Brother, but it's another thing to be made to feel foolish, and they're going to be made to feel foolish.
All right, let me give you over/under. Okay. If Paul wins this season of Big Brother, okay, over/under 4.5 HOHs for Paul, Brent.
Oh, wow. I don't know. I'd have to.
Paul is the winner.
I mean, I feel like I'll take the over because I feel like there aren't very many capable people in the house. The one fly in the ointment is the halting hex. Like, I know Paul's probably going to try to take a shot at Cody in the next week or so, but that's not going to work because Jessica's going to put a stop to that.
Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be great.
So pissed.
I liked that. That was actually a very fun segment when he was like pressing the panic button, press this button, press that button. Like it was good stuff.
Yeah. Pooya, over/under 4.5 HOHs for your boy.
I mean, I'll take the under, and because we're saying he wins. So for him to win, I think the more he wins these competitions, the more we get closer to potentially someone waking up and getting rid of him. If he's not winning, if he's winning less, then maybe he can keep this shenanigans going and everyone's minds away from him. I feel like the spotlight will be too bright on him. It's already on him, but these people are blind. Too big a spotlight if he wins more than 4.5.
Here's something. Go ahead. Sorry.
What'd you think of Josh referring to himself as your boy in the diary room?
I kind of like that. I mean, I feel like it's just a very Josh thing to do. I mean, he says it on the feeds all the time. Like, I don't know, your boy's in a tough spot, but like that's just how like young people talk these days. So I'm here for it. You know,
how many? Josh. Yeah, I feel like can I have multiple boys? I thought Paul was my boy.
Yes, Paul is your boy. Josh is your boy. I wanted to talk really quickly about the fact that even if this plan goes through and Ramses is evicted, if the Jessica, Cody, Mark, Elena side of things do not win HOH, I don't feel like Jessica and Cody will immediately be targeted. I feel like Mark and Elena will be targeted. Mark's just really on the wrong side of everybody in the house right now for a variety of reasons, but they just think that he's such a they think he's got no spine, basically. He's just somebody who's
like an angle.
Yeah, a little bit, like where he's just not willing to throw in with anybody. The whole thing with Josh made him look like a big bully. And earlier today, you know, he's a have-not. He was a have-not last week, by the way, and he got the have-not extension. So this week he goes for the have-not key. He didn't do it in front of anybody. He just, him and Elena quietly went into the room. He pulled out the thing, and he got another week of extension. Of course, you know, Mark's a big guy. He loves his food. So now he's going to be a have-not for 3 weeks. And it's made him look shady to the rest of the house. Once the rest of the house found out about this, you know, I was going to talk with Karen if she was on the show tonight about the little things that we take for granted in real life that they don't have in the Big Brother house. And what they don't have in the Big Brother house is excitement. Like something like this even provides them 5 minutes of excitement. The fact that Mark chose to deny everybody that and do it behind their back. I mean, it really has caused him to look shady in the eyes of everybody else.
Okay. I want to get back to some of these questions from you guys tonight. This is from the great Liana Boris, who says, plastic wrap does not help you burn fat. You may lose a little extra water weight via sweat. Hashtag science. Hashtag tag that ass. Hashtag RHAP. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Good to know. Good to know. What about aluminum foil? That's what I want to know next. Aluminum foil and get on a rotisserie. That's very effective. Do you think that Paul's a serious backdoor option this week? Pooya, give me a percentage that Paul ends up on the block this week. 5%?
5, 10 maximum. There's no way.
Okay.
There's no way.
Yeah, I can't.
Amazingly.
I can't even support 5%. I mean, like he should be an option for them. Again, the fact that you have the halting hex should make you. You should be playing balls out right now. Like, you know what? We'll just put him on the block as a pawn. He's got so many great relationships. Everybody loves Paul. We'll put him on the block as a pawn. We'll explain it to Paul. Look, we're not going after you. We're using you as a pawn. We really, and say it in front of the whole house. We want Josh to go home. That'll force them to send Josh home. And then if Paul comes after you next week, you can still threaten him with the temptation. I don't understand their logic here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do feel like that the move on Survivor and Big Brother, you see a player get an advantage like that. I think they do tend to play more aggressively. I feel like that this is interesting, and to see how it works out with Jessica, to see her play more conservative, having a power because she wants to save it for the perfect moment. I thought this is the kind of thing that Stephen Fishback would have a lot to say about if you watch Big Brother. Ian says, if the vote is flipped to save Josh, can't we say his HOH trash talking worked to his advantage and not to his detriment? Brent, could you give that to Josh?
No, I can't. I can give him 50%. I mean, all the stuff that he did prior to the HOH competition, I thought was ridiculous. Again, you're only ensuring that if they ultimately do win and Jessica looks rock solid during that competition, you're ensuring that you're going to be a nominee, and his trash talking during the ceremony before they voted also. But anything that he's done after the fact with, being in with Paul and, trying to trash talk a little bit and be mopey around the house, like I'm there for that. But I cannot support something that ensures you're going to end up on the block, even if he is ultimately saved. You're putting yourself in needless danger when you don't need to.
Okay. Let's do a couple more questions. Stephanie says, who has the best fitness strategy in the house? Pooya, is it Kevin?
I mean,
should
Kevin's
Christmas
not
be doing
far off.
that she can't exercise? That should she get back into fitness competitions by just wrapping her entire body? Forget the cast. She should just go all plastic wrap?
I feel like this is a product line waiting to happen. She should give it a shot and see how it goes. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Brent, and then you have unwrapping Christmas presents. It'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Unwrapping Christmas would be great. Christmas,
that should be the name of her book, Wrapping Christmas Presents, How Saran Wrap Fitness Changed My Life.
Look, I will give Christmas this credit. I know I've been a little bit down on her, but she has been more active. She was exercising earlier in the week. I saw her doing push-ups, sit-ups, whatever, trying to, I don't know if that was her or the painkillers, but she had a lot of energy. She was going. And then earlier today, I saw her, I'm not giving her props, but it was Team Good Fees when she was yelling at Ramses. And I thought this might be something that might flip the boat if Ramsey. Let me keep my thoughts straight. Sorry. Christmas, more than anything, she started yelling at Ramses because Ramses cut the line to do laundry. And I thought that might be something where it might flip the vote, because then Ramses would go talk to Jessica about it and Jessica would get nervous, take him off the block, and then put somebody else up. The thing about Ramses is he's also causing this. That's someone we haven't really talked about tonight. Ramses is acting very much like he did during week 2 when they accused him of being the vote, and he just basically was an introvert and wouldn't say anything about it. Ramses knows he's in danger. He has correctly decided that the people he doesn't need to worry about are Mark, Elena, and Cody. He's like, well, I know I don't have to worry about you guys. And I'm like, you're right. Those are the only people who are voting for you. You need to go to Jessica and implore her to use the veto. But he's just not that aggressive. And that's kind of part of the reason why I want to see him go home, because he's not playing the game very hard. He needs to up it a little bit.
Okay. And last question, let's see, from Abra. Do you think that Jason has fully resigned himself to being part of Paul's army, or is he still aware that he needs to be taken out? Pooya, what do you think of this?
I don't think Jason has awareness. I think Jason's kind of just flying along with the wind. I mean, about 25 minutes before we got on here, he was studying the dates with Alex, and he was like, why are we doing this? I feel like all of this is irrelevant. Like, this guy is not really, I don't think he's paying much attention. Not good. I think it's one of those things where it depends on what his right-hand person is going to tell him. So Alex is his ride or die, and it all depends on Alex.
And Alex right now is Team Paul. Again, Rob, I said I was going to come on your live podcast and bash my head in. I'm not going to do that, but Alex is driving me crazy with her. Paul, we have to believe him. We know he's telling the truth because of team friendship. He can't lie to us. Otherwise, his reputation in the outside world and his business would be totally soiled. So, no.
Like his plans.
Yes, I know, right?
Yeah.
I can't with Alex. I can't.
What
with,
is his
with
business, Paul?
printing T-shirts? Whatever. Girl
Well, you
boss.
can't get a T-shirt if it's not friendship. You have to get 100% friendship T-shirts.
I don't know. Whatever.
We did not get anything about the Den of Temptation curse tonight, correct?
Correct. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes. Brent, have we had an update on that from the feeds?
We haven't had an update on the feeds. Paul is aware of the fact that the curse hasn't hit yet, and he has mentioned that to a few people on the feeds. The other thing is that Julie mentioned on the show last Thursday that the curse will be unleashed this Thursday. So considering the fact that they are down a house guest, I would not be surprised to see some sort of rewind, reset week. I know the halting hex is in play, but beyond that, they're still down a house guest at this point because the halting hex was already introduced into the game before Megan left. I mean, I know Jessica didn't get it, but it was on the CBS website. So they always knew they were going to release this into the game. So I still feel like there's a chance that the curse might hit on Thursday and something weird's going to happen.
I feel like that we're going to get some sort of a new game mechanic on the Sunday night show.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm down for that.
Some sort of Den of Temptation replacement that's going to kick off a week from tonight. Pooya, has Cameron surfaced in the world yet? / Crawford?
Crawford, Malcolm, Cameron. I have not spotted him yet.
Yeah.
That was what was that Kevin on the feeds earlier today when he said Crawford? I was dying. I had to retweet that. Yeah.
But for the dozens out there that are fans of Jillian, I know she's resurfaced.
Okay.
Yeah, Jillian is on Instagram. You can find her on Instagram. She also has pictures of her weight loss, so very impressive on there. I had not heard from Cameron yet.
She wasted all that money going down to Tijuana when she could have just bought up some saran wrap. Boom. Whole family wasted all that money. Yeah. Okay. Well, great job tonight on the Sunday night show. Brent, what's the hashtag tonight?
It has to be hashtag Saran Wrap. So
Saran Wrap. Okay.
Yes, SARAN Wrap.
Perfect for your meatballs. Get them, keep them nice and fresh, Pooya, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Why not? All right. Well, Pooya, thank you so much for coming on. A pleasure to get to talk some Big Brother with you.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun, Rob. I was glad to be here. I feel bad for those of you, and myself included, who wanted Karen tonight. I hope I was a good enough constellation.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw, was it John Densford on Twitter who said, Karen, you look awful.
That guy, he's going to get a piece of my mind later.
Like the Don Rickles, yeah. So yeah, we'll get Karen back. Sorry it didn't work out with her tonight, but we will make it. We'll make it work out. All right, Brent, and I don't know when we'll get to talk again, but we'll see if the needle has moved one way or the other in terms of the whether meatball is sticking or not.
It's possible. I look. After you played all those clips back, and I didn't realize he said it at various different times during the show. I understood where you're coming from. Like I don't take Josh too seriously, so I'm like, well, whatever.
Like completely being literal. Like, what's the over under on number of times Josh said the word meatball in the episode tonight? It had to have been. I will set the over under at 11.5. Did he say?
I'll take the over. Yeah, I'll take the over on that one. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like more 25 or something. Yeah,
the catchphrase. It's really about like timing. Like you could say it like once or twice, and you say it at the right moments, and it'll stick. I mean, he was just throwing it at the wall.
Yeah, I feel like it was a little bit overload tonight. Overload meatballs.
Yeah. Pooya, I know you had the WWE title behind you. I think that my issue is that I don't think that Josh is a good hype man in terms of selling something.
No, I think he needs he's a good enough mouthpiece. We all know that. He needs someone to work. Yeah, exactly. He needs someone to work on his material.
Yeah.
He needs someone to work on his material.
Paul, I think is real. I think that's why Paul is popular. I think he's actually really great at it, but Josh is struggling.
Yeah. I mean, a man of few words, and those words are not too bueno.
Yeah. All right. Great stuff. Thanks to everybody who watched us live tonight here at this later time. And thanks so much to Scott St. Pierre behind the scenes. If you missed our coverage of Game of Thrones tonight, Stephen Fishback and I broke it all down on postshow recaps.com. If you're in the New York area, I hope you can come out and see our live show. Myself Eric Stein and Johnny Mac on August 3rd in New York City. You can go to robhasawebsite.com/BB19 live. Take care, everybody. And don't forget, Taron Armstrong should be back again live on our Facebook page, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific. Have a great night. Take care. Bye.